We are joined now in the media center by Dale Earnhardt Jr., driver of the number 88 Nationwide Insurance Chevrolet for Hendrick Motorsports. And Dale, you had a special visit after your win at Talladega. You got a chance to go to Columbus, Ohio, and visit the Nationwide Children's Hospital and talk about that whole experience. That had to be quite something.
Yeah, it was a real eye-opener to see all the things going on there. It's a huge place. Nationwide's put over $50 million into the hospital. It's a huge supporter of the hospital there in Columbus. So got to meet a lot of the kids. We went into where they deal with head injuries and spinal injuries and met with a lot of kids there. And had one kid, Thomas, was going home that day, and they had a little graduation party for him and everything. So that was all very fun. Played some video games. We went over to the unit where all the premature babies are and saw all the work they're doing there. They can take babies as early as 22 weeks and nurse them to health and send them home. And they were saying 5 years ago they wouldn't even attempt it with a child that premature, but they're just making a lot of great advances. So I learned a lot. I was very fortunate to have the opportunity to get a tour. It's the kind of thing that inspires you. We have our foundation back home that we're always trying to improve on how we do things and what we get ourselves involved in and how we can make a broader and more important impact. And so little trips like that certainly will inspire you and give you opportunities to get more creative.
Great. We're going to open the floor to questions. We're going to start with Tom and then go over here to Todd and then back to Chris.
Hi, Dale. Tom Jensen, FoxSports.com. You are more emotional than I've ever seen you in victory lane after that big win in Talladega. How much of that was relief just getting into the chase, knowing you were in?
Well, there was a lot of it, I think. As soon as we crossed the finish line and was going around turn 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway, that was probably the sole thought in my mind, was the relief of getting that win and locking yourself in. I mean, you always think in the back of your mind that you're a good enough team that if you had to rely on a points position that you could, but you just hate having to do that because so much emphasis is put on winning, not by the points system, but by the sport, by our fans, our sponsors, ourselves. So much is expected, and so that was just a huge weight off our shoulders, my shoulders, and that was definitely the main thought I had for that half a lap coming back to the front straightaway, was just so much relief to be able to know that we're, the best part about it is you're locked in the chase, that's very important. The best part about it is you come into this race and then one after that and one after that with such less stress, so much less stress, and you get back to the core values and just enjoying racing and driving. You don't have to worry about points. You don't have to worry about when you're going to win and answering questions about when you're going to win, and you don't have to worry about anybody. You don't have to worry about a speck of doubt within the team or morale within the team. You just can go race and have fun. We used to go race at Myrtle Beach every weekend. We didn't care whether we won a track championship or not. We just loved racing. We couldn't wait for our 100-lap feature. And the whole process of getting there and going and sizing your tires and getting the car ready and qualifying, the whole process is so much fun. And you can get right back down to the core of that, going through the whole weekend and just enjoying yourself, because the pressure of the points, winning, the expectations, all that stuff can sort of sap the enjoyment out of it a little bit. So we had so much fun last year, and now we get to do it all over again. Yeah.
Then we're going to Todd, and we'll go right behind him over to Chris, and then back to Pat.
Todd Palmer, Kansas City Star. I was wondering if you could take me back to 2001. Obviously, there was a lot going on that year. This track opened up in September. And What did Jeff mean to the sport at that time when they were kind of looking for leadership after, your father had passed away? And I know you had a big rivalry with him back then too. So
I don't know that I had a rivalry with Jeff too much. We never really crossed paths too often, but I always thought of him as sort of a good friend of my father. They had some business ventures away from the racetrack, and so I know that Dad respected him to be able to do that with him, to be able to go into business with him away from the track. I thought Dad had a lot of respect for him, and they had, no matter what happened on the racetrack, they had things they had to talk about every week away from the track, and they were two very professional, businessmen in that regard, because they could race and then do business together, and you can't do that with everybody. So I always had a lot of respect for Jeff because of that, and Dad was real particular to people he dealt with, and chose wisely when it came to dealing with people and doing business with people. So I thought that showed a lot of, showed my dad's opinion of Jeff. But I remember, we were sort of looking around as who was going to be the guy that would go up in that hauler every week and sort of talk some sense into those people. And that was the way we kind of looked at it as drivers, is that we had some, Dad was always a guy up in there sort of keeping things in control from our perspective, NASCAR does a great job. And there's things going on in the sport that I wouldn't even have the slightest idea of how to handle. But from a driver's perspective, we felt like that we were going to miss Dad's vision and how that impacted the decisions they made inside the hauler. And so Jeff was a guy that stepped up. Jeff Burton was also a guy that stepped up. We had a few people that took on that role around that time, but it's somebody. It's kind of, no one man's really kind of stood out or stepped up. It's just been a bit of a community, and we all the drivers sort of talk and communicate and text back and forth throughout the week and discuss what concerns we have, and someone ends up going and taking that concern to NASCAR somehow, some way. But it was a whole lot more streamlined, I think, back when Dad was kind of the guy. But, it is what it is.
Michael Coleman, KCTV5 Sports. I don't know if you saw today's paper, his paper, had an article about your father and Ned Yost, the Royals manager. Any stories you can share about that friendship between those two?
I really don't have any stories of Dad and Ned. I know they were great friends. Dad had several players that he became friends with, mainly with the Braves, Blauser and a couple of those guys, Jody Davis. He was mainly going hunting with these guys and enjoying a hunt or two throughout the year with these fellas. He was a Braves fan, always pulled for them. They had like a racing pool in the dugout, and enjoyed. They had several fans that sort of supported our sport on the team. So I remember that, kind of back and forth between Dad and those guys. Blauser would come to the race, and Jody Davis came to several races when I was really young. So, and I don't really, I don't know how him and Ned met, but I know that they became really close, had a lot of respect for each other, and Ned's still very proud of that, and even today talks about it, so it means a lot to me to hear that coming from him. I wish him all the success. Came so close last year. We're really pulling for him, and I think he's got a solid team, so hopefully they can make another run.
Okay, we're going to go to Chris, then to Pat, Lee, and Claire.
ChrisKnight@Insurance.com. Junior, Wednesday, it's been a good week for you guys, but it's been a busy week too. Wednesday, JRM announced that Casey Kane will drive the team's truck next weekend at Charlotte. What are you hoping that Casey can bring to the truck program, and does it maybe elevate you to prepare for what maybe could be a truck start for you later in the season?
Well, I probably won't run trucks this year. If I run trucks, I want to run Martinsville, and it'll probably be next year if I run. But I love Martinsville. Watched the truck race there this year in the pit stall. and just wanted to be out there. It just looks like a lot of fun. Of course, we always enjoy that track, but Casey's got a hell of a track record in trucks, so I think he's going to put a lot of pressure on himself. I'm not going to put any expectations on him. I just want him to have fun. He stepped up to drive the truck, so I just want him to go in there and have fun. Hopefully, I think it's going to be well prepared. Those trucks have been real fast everywhere they've been, and we'll see how it goes. I think he's going to enjoy it, and help that team, especially just being at the racetrack, because it's also, as difficult as it is on Cole to not be at the track and racing every opportunity he can get. It's also is difficult for the team to sort of stay competitive and stay on the leading edge of the innovating things that are happening in the garage if you're not there every week. So it'll help them to be at the track and learn some more things that they can apply to some things some races they run later on in the year. So hopefully, they can learn and have a good time, run a good race, and maybe win the race if they can, but also learn and help Cole down the road.
Go to Pat, then Lee.
Pat DeCola, NASCAR.com. Dale, you're a big NASCAR history guy, and we have the Hall of Fame class being announced pretty soon. If you were to make like a Mount Rushmore of 4 drivers, who would you put on it?
Richard would have to be there, and it'd be so tough. I'd probably walk out of here and think of 4 more, but the guys that stand out to me are Richard and my father and David Pearson. The fourth is a toss-up between guys like Yarborough and Bobby Allison and Darrell, obviously, Jeff Gordon. Jimmy has got to be in that conversation. He could even probably be the 3rd guy. So, my mind goes back to the 70s and stuff. I imagine it'd be definitely Jimmy would be on there. But the 4th could just be about a handful of guys. To get a different opinion from probably everybody in the room, maybe.
Go to Lee, and then over to Claire.
Lee Spencer Motorsport. Who were you on the phone with in the cockpit when you finally settled
That
down?
was Rick.
Okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, for those of us who have pretty much chronicled most of your career, at what point did you get that sense that everything was going to be okay after 2001? That you could just kind of go on and be your guy, be, Ralph Dale Earnhardt, not just Junior, just, move on?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's like a long process that just continues throughout the rest of your life, I think. Every chapter, when I retire, there'll be new things to deal with. Every time you open a new, chapter in your life, I don't know, you just sort of, Dad's shadow is always going to be there, it's something I'm comfortable with. And everything you do, you always ask yourself what his opinion of it might be. If it's a business venture, like opening up the Whiskey River in Charlotte Douglas Airport the other day, I wonder what he would think about all those things. What we've been, winning at Talladega. Everything you do, you wonder what he would think of it or what his opinion would be of it. So it's just always in the back of your mind, and you never really sort of break free or escape it. It's just, it's sort of it's always lingering, and that's just a product of losing him. That's just the way it is. But I think that the older you get, I as soon as all that went down, I don't know, I handled it a lot better than I thought I would, and I saw other people in my family not handling it so well. So I had to race and keep going and try to do the best I could, and I don't know, it's always there, so you just sort of do what you do. Even this far away, it's so long ago, it seems like. It's just it's always there, though. I think that's the way. I've talked to other people that that lose their lose their father or their mother earlier than you would expect, and it's just always there, and it's part of life. It's part of your life. That's what's happened, and you move forward and do the best you can. I feel like I've done a good job, and Dad was really, I talked about it last weekend, Dad was real critical, and but also very positive. He's a great father, but I know he wouldn't be proud of everything I've done ever since he passed away, but for the most part I feel like he would be pretty happy. So I'm good. That makes me okay, and that's the best you can do.
Okay, we'll go to Claire, and we'll finish up with Stan.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I was going to ask you about you as a businessman, because with Whiskey River opening up and Junior Motorsports taking on the truck team, and you always had a lot of good business people around you, but early on maybe were sort of led into things. Seems like you're kind of rolling into being a businessman. Your dad was a business guy. Do you see that on the plateau for you, and do you think you're becoming more now involved in all of the businesses that you represent?
Yeah, I think so, especially as I get older, get closer to understanding that driving race cars won't last forever. I mean, I knew that, but you get closer and closer to the day when you won't be in the race car anymore. And not only do I need things to keep me busy or keep me excited and motivated to get out of bed every day. I mean, you want to love what you do, right? Because that's what I'm so. I've had so much fun driving race cars, and it's going to be a real challenge to find something that I enjoy as much, and so that's sort of something I take a little more seriously now as I'm getting older, and trying. I think the dealerships in Tallahassee will be a fun, exciting challenge. That was really my career path, if I hadn't been a race car driver, was as a mechanic and into the service department, and maybe eventually, if it all worked out, a general manager or something like that at a store. So it's funny to think about it now, but that was the reality of the situation when I was younger. So I think that, I feel comfortable there and feel like I understand that business better than anything else, and I think that, this opportunity to open the Whiskey River at Charlotte Douglas Airport, partnering with HMS Host, which is, HMS Host, if you don't know, is a company that controls all of the restaurants and businesses inside airports, 100 airports across the globe. Most of the, majority of the businesses in Charlotte or Chicago's airport, HMS Host is in control of that. Basically, if you see a Chili's or anything in an airport, they license that to HMS Host, and HMS Host has the employees. They build the store, and it's a really, really awesome partnership, obviously, because we don't have to make the initial investment to build the infrastructure and all that stuff. So this is a really, really good opportunity for us to do something great and open more Whiskey Rivers in other markets. So that could be really good. So I'm taking those things very seriously, because that is going to be, my source of income one day, and when the driving race cars is no longer an opportunity. So definitely take it more seriously and want to make sure that we can, we're doing things right. I think we got a lot of great people in right places. I sort of took J.R. Rhodes off of the production company and put him onto the Whiskey River deal full time, because he understands that industry really well, and I hope that we can, the production company does really good. I mean, there's just so many things that we have so much potential with that are looking really good, and hopefully that all that stuff works out. Everybody's looking for the Foreman grill, and hopefully I got a couple of them in the works.
Wheel it and grill it. Stan, finish it off, buddy.
All right, Stan Creekmore with RPMtonight.com. Let's get to the most critical issue from last week's race, and that would be that your girlfriend was not there. So how did she handle it when you all got face-to-face?
I haven't seen her still. She was at a vacation home doing some remodeling before Well, when I met her, she was working as an interior designer, so she's been working on this property that we had together, and she'll be here Saturday, so tomorrow she'll finally get here, and I'm about ready for her to get here because Gus has been a handful, and I just need a break, but you know, she missed one of the races last year, Pocono, that we won. She was very disappointed, but she has a part-time job that she piddles with just to have some normalcy and interaction with normal people. She don't think that any of us here are normal, but she thinks this racing thing's pretty crazy, so it's fun for her to have some interaction with some real people. And so sometimes she misses a race or two because of that. She works on Saturdays for Sherry in her store in Mooresville. But you know, we thought it was a good idea for her to stay and work on the house. Me and her were there together, and then I went on to the racetrack, and we didn't anticipate, you know, winning the race, or didn't even think about, you know, that. But it'd have been great if she'd been there.
So, and on a quick follow-up, did you and Grant Lynch at all talk about what you had talked about the kind of ditch on the tri-oval?
No.
No?
I mean, they're not going to dig it up and pave it. It's just too expensive. We've dealt with it for several years now, but it's just a real annoyance. But hopefully if they ever do pave it again, they'll fix it.
Well, Dale, congratulations
Thank you.
again on qualifying for the Chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.